Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gurur Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Welcome all of you to the Bhagavad Gita session. So today we will look at the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So what is Bhagavad Gita? So before we go to Bhagavad Gita, we'll see Gita. Gita means it's a song. It's a song of spiritual knowledge. It's a dialogue between a guru and a shishya. Now there are many Gitas. Now, Gita as such is a common noun, and when we prefix it, it becomes a unique one. For example, Vidura Gita. You'll find, one of the gem in Mahabharata. They say there are 5 gems. So one of the gem in Mahabharata is Vidura Gita. Then you have Rama Gita in the Ramayana, Hamsa Gita in the Bhagavatam, Guru Gita, Shiva Gita in the Skandha Purana. Now, there is also, I think you must have also heard of Ashtavakra Gita, Avadhuta Gita. Okay, these are these independent texts. So you see a lot of the word Gita comes in over there. But the moment we say Bhagavad Gita, I think what comes into our mind is Bhagavad Gita. That's something which comes without any introduction itself. Okay, for all the other things we need to say, Ashtavakra Gita, Guru Gita, we need to say that. But the moment we say Gita, we assume that it is Bhagavad. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita is a song of divinity. It's a song by divinity. See how beautiful it is. It's a song of divinity. It is talking about the divine nature. Who has told it? By the divine himself. So it's a dialogue between Bhagavan and Arjuna. So even though there are many Gitas, that's why it is so special. Okay, because it's been stolen from the Lord's mouth itself. And it's also because of its greatness, because of its popularity, because how we can apply it in our lives, relevant even today. So for all these reasons, Bhagavad Gita is a very popular text. Now, what is Bhagavad Gita? Madhusudan Saraswati ji, he has composed a beautiful Dhyana Shloka. It just, the moment we hear this Dhyana Shloka itself, we get an introduction about Bhagavad Gita. Like I'll just share what is that particular thing. What is the Dhyana Shloka? See here. It says, Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी. So that's the Dhyana Shloka. Now what it is here? Parthaya Pratibodhitam. Given to Partha. Partha is son of Pratha. That's the another name for Kunti. So Parthaya Pratibodhitam. It's given to Partha. It's given to Arjuna. Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. By whom? It is given by Narayana himself. By the Lord himself. So it is a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. Vyasena grathitam. Grathitam, composed. Composed by whom? Composed by Vyasa. Vyasena grathitam. Which Vyasa? Purana Munina, one who wrote the Puranas, one who has written all the 18 Puranas, that Vedavyasa, that Vyasa has written us or has composed the Mahabharata and in turn the Bhagavad Gita. Madhye Mahabharatam. So now where do you find these Gita verses? Almost in the center of Mahabharata. Now, Mahabharata has 18 sections, has 18 parvas. And Bhagavad Gita is coming at the sixth one. Sixth one is Bhishma Parva. So that is where it is coming. Now, if you look at it now, am I not so good at maths? 18 chapters are there. And then you're saying it is half. So it should be in the ninth one, isn't it? But here, it's not in the ninth one, it's in the sixth one. So how is it is coming in the middle? How is it coming in Madhyam? But here, it's not based on the sections or based on the chapters, but it is based on the shloka numbers. That is why it is coming in the sentence. So Bhagavad Gita, it comes in the 25th to 42nd adhyaya. In the Bhishma Parva, it comes from the 25th chapter to the 42nd chapter. So that is composed of Bhagavad Gita. Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim. So what it is, Gita is like Bhagavati, who showers what? Who showers Amrita. Which Amrita? We always know Amrita means it's a nectar for immortality. This is also kind of immortality only once we know the knowledge, once we know our true self. Anyway, we will come back to that. But this Amritam is of Advaita knowledge. The knowledge of Advaita is called as Amrita. So Advaita Amrita Varshini. So she showers the Advaita Amritam. Ashtadasha Dhyayinim. Ashtadasha, 18. Okay, in Sanskritam, Ashtadasha means 18. So it has 18 chapters, 700 verses, which tells about the essence of this Amritam. What is this Amritam that is being described in 700 verses in 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita? Ambatvam anusandadhami. Here, Amba means mother. So Gita is referred to as mother. And says, I constantly remember you. I constantly remember you. Anusandadhami. Why? Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim. It's a remover of sorrows. Bhavadveshinim. The Bhagavad Gita is the remover of sorrows. What sorrows? Oh, I need, today I feel that I need a big car, or I need to buy a house. I need good dresses. And since I'm not getting it, I am feeling sorrowful. I'm feeling sad. Will Bhagavad Gita help? No, that's not what it is. So here, the sorrow is the sorrow of the samsara. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad. Most of the time we are sad. We want this, we want that. We're always in that continuous stress. So Bhagavad Gita helps to lead an ideal life, helps to know what is that sorrow that we need to be overcoming, what is the joy that which we need to be taking in. Okay? So we all know now that the source text of Bhagavad Gita is Mahabharata. And who composed it? Vedavyasa, because we just told that. Vyasena Grathita. So Vedavyasa is an unbelievable human being. 18 Puranas he writes, then composed the entire Mahabharatam. He compiled all the 4 Vedas. So such a person with infinite knowledge. So 18 Puranas, we already said. Brahma Sutras is another one which he composed. Bhagavatam, Mahabharatam, and the 4 Vedas. The Veda, we'll just touch upon a little bit to understand what it is, because Bhagavad Gita does have a lot of reference, or it has a lot of understanding about Veda also. So Veda comes from the root word. The dhatu of Veda is vid. Vid means knowledge. Vedayati iti vedaha. Vedayati iti vedaha. One who explains everything, or that which explains everything, is Veda. Does it explain everything? Yes. It explains everything. Whatever that we need in this life, about whether it is about universe, whether it's about science, whether it's about maths, anything and everything, the answer is there in Veda. So the scripture, this entire Veda is being classified or is into not the Vedas as such, the entire scriptures. It's been classified into Shrutis. One is the Shruti, then Smriti, then you have heard of Purana, Itihasa. We'll go one by one. Shruti. Shrutis are the Vedas. The 4 Vedas, Rik, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva Veda. So Vedas means, do we say, okay, does it have any book? Now today we probably have books. We say Rig Veda Samhita is there, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, all those books are there. But earlier there were no books. It was not that somebody just sat and wrote like how the current authors are writing a book. It is not like. So Swami Vivekananda says that this Vedas refer to the accumulated treasury of spiritual laws. So I said before that one who explains everything. So everything also includes all the spiritual content also. So Veda is an accumulated treasury of spiritual laws, says Swami Vivekananda. So the Vedas have important characteristics. What are these important characteristics? One is they are apaurusheyatva, means they're not the work of any man. Okay, so it's the work of the divine. Paurusha, Purusha, Apaurusha, beyond a human being. So it cannot, the amount of knowledge that Vedas are giving, it is not human being. Man has a lot of limitations. But Vedas, the way it has been composed, everything and is there in that way. It's an infinite knowledge. It cannot be, in the hands of or it's not limited to it is not in the capacity of any human being to bring in this amount of immense knowledge. Next, anaditva. It's infinite. There is no beginning, there is no end. The one which has no beginning, one which has no end, that is what is. Whatever is there, and if there is a beginning and then it has to go, whatever there is a beginning, there is definitely an end. But Vedas are anaditva. It has no beginning, no end. It's infinite knowledge. Then it is nityatva. They're eternally existing. 5,000 years back, 10,000 years back, whatever was there, people were able to apply that in their lives. Today also they are able to apply it. So it's nityatva. It's eternally existing. Why? Because mantras were revealed to the rishis. They're called as mantra drishta, seer of the mantras. So when the rishis were in deep and intense meditation, they were able to get the sound of those mantras with them. That's why Vedas are called a Shruti Prasthana. It is not written by anybody, it is heard, Shruti. It's listened, and that's how it is. So that's why it is called as Shruti Pramana or Shruti Prasthana. Knowledge received through listening is Shruti. Then what happened? They passed on to their disciples, their Shishyas. Then the Shishyas later became Gurus, and then they passed it on to their Shishyas, and it went on like that. So it always went in the form of Shrutis. One person tells, the other person listens. So that's how it used to pass on until a time when Vedavyasa decided to compile it. So the name, why he got the name Vedavyasa? Vyasa got the name Vedavyasa because he was the one who compiled all the 4 Vedas. Okay. Now, Vedas are divided into 4 parts. Okay. I know it's just giving you this introduction so that you will understand about Bhagavad Gita a little more better. So Vedas have 4 parts. The Samhita part. It's a collection of mantras. It's systematically arranged. It's a collection of hymns, collection of mantras all put together. It comes under the Samhita. Then you have the Brahmana. See, all the rituals. So it's basically all the procedures are given over there. How to do the process has been listed down in the Brahmana. All the Vedic karmas, rituals, yajnas, everything is being described in the Brahmana. Aranyaka is called as the Upasana Kand. How to do it? Now, where you're given what are all the things required, the process, everything is there. But then it also brings in as to how actually you will be doing it. What is it that you will be getting out of it? All that has been given in the Upasana Kand. Then the Upanishad, which is the Vedanta. Okay, so Veda Anta. It doesn't mean that it is at the end of the chapter. Okay, you take a book and then you open the last page, the last section. Oh, that's Vedanta. It's not like that. The Upanishad is that it can be in any other part. So the meaning of the word will go deep into it a little because Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita has a lot of connection. Now, Upa means to go closer. Ni with conviction, with determination. To whom you can go to a guru with determination. You can do studies with determination. So you're going closer towards the understanding the divine. Shad, Upanishad, Shad. Shad means one is 3 meanings are there. One is himsa. Himsa, Upanishad is talking about violence. Himsa means destruction, yes, of delusions. Okay, so here it's not, about killing somebody or, hurting somebody. That's not what it is. Our own negativities, our own delusions, we are destroying it. That is why the word himsa is come. Then avasadhana. You see, when there is there's a rope and you've done a lot of knots, how difficult it is to remove. That's how we all are now. With a lot of negativities, even if we take away one, the other one comes to attack. We think, okay, let's now do, come into the right path, and we try, but then maybe we correct one and then something else comes. So, we just keep moving on from here to there to here. We keep moving on. So it is loosening. Once you loosen one part, then the others become slightly easier to remove, isn't it? So avasadhana means loosening of those knots, the mind's grip on you. We're like, held so closely with these knots, with these negativities, with these delusions. It's so difficult to come out of it, right? So Upanishad helps to loosen those knots so that it's easy to untie. Then Gati. Gati means movement, path, destiny. Towards what? Again, so Upa, to go close, to go close where? To our destined nature. Where is it? Our true nature. With determination. How? By loosening the knots, right? Loosening the grip of the mind on us. So the goal of Upanishads, the goal of Vedanta is ultimate freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from this entire samsara. Liberation from the miseries, because we have a lot of miseries and sufferings of whatever we are undergoing. And can we say that we are all the time happy? We don't have any problems? No. Even for a few minutes, we are not able to stay happily, because there are a lot of sufferings. A lot of desires can result in suffering. When we want whatever we want, we're not able to get, then it ends up in suffering. Sometimes if we get more again, that becomes a suffering. So we go on and on and on with all these things. So we want liberation from it. That has been given in Upanishad. So how it seems the scribe, was Ganesha. So Vyasa just started telling it, and Even Mahabharata was written like that. So the beauty of there is a story about it that Ganesha couldn't find a pen. So then what he did, he broke his part of his tusk, and then he started writing. That's why you'll see Ganesha's picture with one tusk is full and the other one is like broken. Right? So that's just a theological story behind that. Okay, so that is Shruti. The next one is Smriti. So there is Shruti Pramana, there is Smriti Pramana. So Smriti is that which is remembered. And well, if Shruti is about listening, Smriti is that which is remembered, that which comes out from the memory. So it's specific to one person. I have certain memories of certain things. You will have certain memory of something else. See, the same situation, I have a certain kind of memory. You will have a certain kind of, right? So this is come out of the memory and it's specific to one person or one author. Okay, it's more like applied knowledge. So it's like this is composed by sages based on the understanding of the Shrutis, that is, understanding of the Vedas. So that is another part which is there, the scripture. So the second classification is Smriti. Now the third one, I think, which most of you remember it or which you've come across is Puranas. Right? There are many Puranas: Garuda Purana, Skanda Purana, Padma Purana, so many Puranas. So Purana, what is the word? The etymological meaning of Purana means Pura api navaha iti Puranaha. Pura api navaha iti Puranaha. What does it mean? Pura, ancient. Api navaha, but ever new. Navaha, ever new. Iti Puranaha. How is it? Whatever is ancient, how can that be new? Isn't it? But if you look at it, whatever, again, when you read the Puranas, it looks as if it's brand new. It's just written now, that kind of a thing. It's so much applicable even today, we say. So everything, see, if you look at it, our Sanatana Dharma, the scriptures which is there in us, it's so beautiful that it can be applied. Every scripture can be applied even today. The only thing is we probably don't understand it properly and we think that, oh, it was applicable only at that point of time. Now it's not applicable. But if you go into the subtle meaning of it, if you really go deeper into that meaning, we'll see that it can be applied even today as brand new. Okay. So Vedavyasa, like I said, 18 Puranas compiled by him, and it shares the knowledge of the Shrutis and Smritis. So Smriti was written by the sages based on the understanding of the Shrutis, isn't it? Now, Purana is being written based on the knowledge of Shruti and Smriti. Why did they go on writing this new? See, each one looks at it. So for some of you, we say that, okay, if you understand the concepts, we can understand the application. But some of us understand the application. Through the application, we understand the concept. Isn't it? So similarly, in Purana, how it is given in the form of stories, dialogues, examples. So that's how it's in Purana. If you have read any one Purana also, is the most famous is the Bhagavad Purana. So Bhagavatam has a lot of stories, immense number of stories with lot of examples, dialogues, everything is coming here. So why these stories? You see Devi Mahatmya, again lot of stories, asuras coming, fighting with Devi, killing. So why is all this thing? So if Upanishads, the Veda part, the Upanishads are giving Siddhanta, it's giving the concepts, okay? And Puranas give Drashtanta, the stories. To understand the Siddhanta, the sages decided, or Vyasa, to compose the Puranas in the form of stories so that the Siddhanta is understood. So, see, for common people like us, we'll not be able to understand if we say sometimes it's going out of our head, we are not able to understand all this. So, to make us understand, See, like small children, we tell a lot of stories. Right? We want to tell certain morals, moral values we want to give. So what we do, we tell stories, and then at the end of it, we say, the moral of the story is this. This is what you should be doing. So similarly, that's applicable even for us. But maybe not those kind of stories. It's a different story. So here, Vyasa wrote the Puranas in the form of stories, in the form of dialogues, in this form of examples, so that the concepts given in the Upanishads, given in the Smritis, are easy to understand. I'll give you one example now. In Ishavasya Upanishad, the mantra, it begins with Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Says that, what does it mean? Ishavasyam, Vasyam, where is God living? Idam sarvam, everywhere. God is everywhere. Now, where can we find a similar link in the Purana? Now we want to see, the concept is Ishavasyam idam sarvam. God is everywhere. Now, how do we relate that in Puranas? If you look at it, the Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada story, I think everybody knows, right? So Prahlada was trying to tell Hiranyakashipu that God is everywhere. But Hiranyakashipu was not ready to accept it. So then he goes and, if you remember those stories or whatever was there in the TV serial. So, the Hiranyakashipu, he goes with the Gadha and he goes and hits the pillar and he says, is God here? Prahlada says, yes, he's there. And then he goes and hits another pillar and then he breaks that. And then he goes to the other pillar. Then he hits there and he says, is God here? He says, yes, God is there. So then he again breaks. So it goes on like this, and in one of the pillar when he hits, that's where Lord Narasimha comes and attacks him. So that was a story. But the story was told so that we understand that God is everywhere. The sad part is, we just get stuck to the story and we don't really understand the concept behind it, the moral behind it. So here, that was it. So I think there was another example. I think Sri Krishna's story itself, Ras Leela. Everybody also knows about that. Right? So when in Vrindavan, the Ras Leela was happening, dancing with all the gopis and gopikas, all these gopis and gopikas felt that Krishna was with her or with him. Even the gopis, even the gopis were also. The gopis and gopikas, they were there and they were dancing, and everybody felt Krishna was with him or her. How did that happen? So it's not magic. In a way, to say that, it was just depicted in that way to say that God is with every one of us. God is there everywhere. So what the Puranas speak is what might be possible. Now we're like looking, does that, can that happen? How many gopikas were there and Krishna was there with everybody? So we start thinking logically. Okay. So Puranas means something which might be possible. So that's why it is not, it may have happened or it may not have happened. That's why it is also called as Sambhava Pramana. So therefore, that's why some of these stories, looks very strange, illogical. It's only because it's a Sambhava Pramana. It's to explain the Siddhartha. Another beautiful one is the Itihasa. Now, Itihasa. Now we'll break that and we'll understand what it is. Iti, thus. Ha, indeed. Sa, happened. Iti means thus. Ha means indeed. And sa, happened. Thus, it indeed happened. So, itihasa means one which has happened. Those things have happened. So, which are those two itihasas? Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, we do not club that. We cannot say that it is the mythology because it has happened. It is an itihasa. Okay. So, these are the 4 parts of the scriptures that we will see in our Sanatana. So, now we were talking about Bhagavad Gita. Right? So, let's bring back and say, which part of these does Bhagavad Gita comment? That's the surprise. Bhagavad Gita is coming in Mahabharatam. It's a part of Mahabharatam. We all agree to that, right? We all agree, right? So Bhagavad Gita is coming in Mahabharata. So ideally or logically, where should it be? Bhagavad Gita should be a part of Itihasa, right? It's not coming under any of those. It's coming under Itihasa, we can say. Now, it is also, Bhagavad Gita is also called as Smriti Prasthana. How? Why? So, what did I say when I told about Smriti? It is specific to one person's experience, right? Or person's memory. But Itihasa is a story. And inside the story, there is something called as knowledge part is also there, right? Bhagavad Gita is about knowledge. Do's and don'ts are there. Okay. So it's talking about Dharma Shastra. Whatever was do's and don'ts are coming under the Dharma Shastra. And it is also person specific, Krishna to Arjuna. Yeah. So now we also, that's why it is also coming under Smriti, though it is part of Itihasa. So now it is Itihasa, it's part of Itihasa, it's also part of Smriti. Okay. Now comes another interesting part. Will we stop at that? No, we are not stopping it. After each chapter, if you see, after at the end of each chapter, we'll be going through it. But if you have already seen the text, after each chapter, it ends with Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam. End it like. So what do you say? Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, it is Upanishatsu. It is an Upanishad also. Yeah. So now what? Where does this come in? It's coming under Itihasa, it is coming under Smriti, it is coming. Upanishad is again part of the Shrutis. So what is this? So much of confusion, right? So why it is coming under Upanishad? Yes. What is the main theme of Upanishad? What we saw? It is liberation. Isn't it? That's what we saw, right? We said that the goal of Upanishads is ultimate freedom, liberation. Isn't it? So it is about liberation means by what? To understand the divine, to be with the divine. Okay, so Brahma Vidya. So isn't Bhagavad Gita also telling the same thing? The whole 18 chapters is talking about how we can be with the divine. How do we get the divine knowledge? How do we get that Brahma Vidya? So, since that is coming here, so then Gita also can be a part of the Upanishad also. So, it can also be called Shruti Prasthana then. So, it is Shruti Prasthana, it is Smriti Prasthana, okay, and it is also an Iti. So, then we'll see one more thing. Gita is also called as Yoga Shastra. Now, Yoga Shastra, why? Because if you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutras, you've seen, basically it's a complete practical thing as what to do, how to do, all those things are described in Yoga Sutras by Maharshi Patanjali. So same way, Bhagavad Gita also is not just telling you the concepts and living, it is also giving you practical thing as how to do it is also there. So since it is a practical guidance, the practical text, we also put that under Yoga Shastra. So practical guidance, practical manual of how to attain the truth and how to live a fulfilled life. So that is also part of the Gita. So other than the Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, and Itihasa, it's also called as Yoga Shastra. Okay, so all this, the entire scriptural essence is included in the Bhagavad Gita. That's why it is so very popular, isn't it? So now, what is Shastra? Now, sometimes, most of us think the moment we say Shastra, oh, it's a scripture. Say that, but see, sometimes when we translate these Sanskritam words into English, right, it doesn't give you that intense meaning of it. It just lightens it, I think. That's what I feel. Okay, so here, so the moment we think Shastra, it's a scripture, but you go deeper into it. Okay, let's look at today's subjects. Let's look at it and then we'll try to understand. What do you call chemistry? Yeah, in Sanskrit. It's called Rasayana Shastra. Rasayana Shastra. Just remember the word Shastra also. What is biology called as? Jiva Shastra. And physics, Bhautika Shastra. So everything you see, the word Shastra is. So now if I include in Rasayana Shastram, Jiva Shastram, then what is Shastra now if you look at it? Isn't it science? Yeah. So scripture and science, when you put it together, it becomes Shastra. Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita is a Shastra as well as, it's a scripture as well as science. Both. So science, completely applicable. It's very logical. It can be like proven kind. So if because science, we look at it like that, right? Everything has to be proved. Hence proved. Only then we accept. So here also, every shloka in Bhagavad Gita, we can look at it as a scientific text or a scientific text. So scripture, it teaches us what is good for us, and science that talks about the subject in its totality. So both put together is Bhagavad. So that is why Swami Chinmayananda says that Bhagavad Gita is a universal book of guidance. I always feel that Bhagavad Gita, it's not just like it's not a chanting text alone. It's like when we buy any electronic equipment, something else comes around, book, right? Manual comes along with it. So here also, Bhagavad Gita is like when we're coming and we read the Bhagavad Gita, it's like a manual for our life. What to do, why to do, when to do, how to do, everything. Then you get it from Bhagavad Gita. So there are some teachings which is applicable only to that particular time or community also. Okay, so this is a Hindu scripture, so it's applicable only to the texts. It's not like that. But then there are some texts which is applicable at all times to all people. So now let's see how Gita is applicable at all times. How is it that we're saying that it was written 5,000 years back? How is it that it is relevant even today? Okay, so now let's see a few points, then we'll understand it better. Gita talks about how to live life. Is it applicable today also? It was applicable before. Isn't it applicable today also? Yeah. So tomorrow will it be applicable also again? 10 years down the line? 100 years down the line? Yes. 1,000 years down the line? Yes. How to live life? Everybody wants to know how to live life. So it's a text which was applicable in the past, which is applicable in the present, which will be applicable in the future also. Now, Gita talks about getting rid of sorrows and delusions. Yeah, Arjuna was highly delusional, and that is where it started out, isn't it? So, Gita is to get rid of our delusions. Now, wasn't every human being, every living, trying to win over this in the past? Sufferings, the sorrows, the delusions. Yeah. How about today? Are we still fighting for that? Are we still trying to get over our sufferings, our delusions? You think later, in fact, the stress is going up today. Earlier, when the stress level was when people started working. Today, even a LKG student is under a lot of stress, isn't it? You have a lot to study. You want to be a topper in the class. Starts right from small child. The suffering is there. So it's applicable. It was applicable before. It's applicable today. It will be applicable even in the future, definitely. Now, Gita, in fact, one more thing I wanted to add is it is Gita also is specifying on how to get rid of our sorrows. So it's not just telling that, oh, you have sorrows, how do you identify it and all that. It is also helping you to overcome it. That's why I said it's a practical, it's a manual. Yeah? So What is it? Or how to get rid of sorrow? How to become fearless? This is one topic I think which every one of us needed, right? How to become fearless. We have this self-help books, no? How to win friends and influence people, and how to say yes, how to say no when you have to say yes, and all those kind of self-help. How to do public speaking, all this. But how to become fearless? That's something which is applicable. And the most important fear is the fear of death. So here, understanding Gita, the fear of death is gone. You will no more have the fear of death. Does that mean that you will not die? We all one, because this body has come, has to go also. Remember, when there is a beginning, there is an end also. So, but how should our death be? Should it be a very painful one, or it should be a peaceful journey? So, Gita helps us to understand life in such a way that when death comes in, we can do a peaceful exit from it. Then, what is the purpose of human life? That is also another question which Gita addresses. Now, aren't we all trying to find out that what is the purpose? What is the purpose? What should I do? We start right from again from our childhood. Which course should I take? Should I take science? Should I take commerce? Should I take art? Should I go into theaters? What should I take? After that, again, what kind of a job should I apply? What is it that I want to do in my life? Yeah, so we all continuously are trying to find out this. So here, this gives you a much more better picture of the purpose of our and how to achieve the purpose. So these are all the things which is there. Now, don't do listening to all these things. Talks about how to live life, how to get rid of our sorrows and delusions, and how to be fearless, purpose, and how to achieve that. Isn't this relevant even today, just like how it was relevant before? And will it not be relevant in the future also? Absolutely. So that is why it is Gita is a text which is applicable in the past, which is applicable today, it will be applicable in the future also. That's why it's one of the texts which every one of us, irrespective of religion, nationality, caste, creed, everything, should be understanding this, should have this knowledge to take us more higher in our spiritual life. So there are many problems in this world, right? We come across a lot of, but they're all time bound. Maybe it comes. This too shall pass, right? War can happen. War will get over, and we are again back. It will take a little time, but then we. Or there are some problems which are restricted to a particular gender. Maybe that's where we come about with woman empowerment because we want to get rid of this gender problem. Then it can be a community problem, group problem. It can be with respect to religion or within a religion, with respect to castes. So it's a certain problems which is only for a certain section of people or a certain group of people. But even though if one has to look at these problems, you look at it and you analyze that, you try to see what is the root cause of such kind of problems. All those issues, if you start looking at it, you will find answers in Bhagavad Gita. Wow, right? Amazing. How is it that, my problem, I thought it was only my problem, nobody else will have this kind of problem. How will Gita address it? You start seeing it, that it will have answers for everything. So that is why it's also one of the widely translated texts, it's been translated into many, many languages. So that's why I said, irrespective of nation, it's not, it is only for Indians. It's only in India, it is only for the Hindus. It's not like that. It is a universal text. Okay, that's why Swami Chinmayananda says universal book of guidance. So Krishna himself is declaring that Gita me hridayam partha. He says that his heart lies in Gita. Krishna himself is telling that his heart lies in the Gita. Oh Arjuna, Gita is my very heart. That's why it's a rare masterpiece. Such a text cannot happen anymore. So that's beautiful, this text. So in fact, there's also another thing that once after, finishes, Krishna gives the entire discourse on Bhagavad Gita, and then the war is over, and, Yudhishthira is, crowned the king of Hastinapur. And after that, when they were all relaxing, so Arjuna says, that particular day, when you told all those things, that situation was only different. I was in the battlefield, and I didn't know whether to fight, not to fight, and it's completely confused. And those concepts, same thing. No, can you repeat it once more for all of us to hear it once more? I think it will be like a revision for me. We have these courses, no, certain courses which we again keep doing it. Yeah, refresher course. Yeah, wasn't getting the right term. So refresher course. Can you give me a refresher course of Bhagavad Gita? And then Krishna says, no, 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 that is not possible. One, because certain things, sometimes we say we also tell, no, certain dialogues, just comes from the heart when that particular situation comes. After that, when we say, can you just repeat it? I want to make a note of it, and then we won't get that, that essence of it, or the strong thing what we had told that time. It becomes a little more lighter later on when we keep repeating it. So the same way for Krishna also, he said, came from my heart, and he was in a different state of mind. He was in a very meditative state at that time. So now I'm just relaxing here. I will not be able to get to that state right now, and I will not be able to tell you. And then actually he does tell certain things, and that's called as Anugita. Anugita is there, where probably tries to just whatever he remembers, maybe he tries to tell it, because see, certain these texts are like, it just came from the heart. And even we I think we also come across certain things like this, right? When somebody asks certain times, and at certain times, not always, at certain times, we say we don't know how we just thought about all those things, and we just compiled it, and it became so beautiful. Maybe it can be a speech, or it can be an essay, or whatever that you were. And there are certain times when how much ever you would have prepared and gone, you wouldn't be able to get that kind of a quality. So that was how it was. So he himself couldn't repeat it, what he told to Arjuna. So that is why. So here we cannot look at it as Krishna as a human being. It just came through Krishna that the divine Brahman only told it to. That's why it is the song of the Lord. It has come from Brahman only, from the true divine. So there is a similar story. Okay, so here we will do both Drashtanta and Siddhanta. Okay, so Vedavyasa and Lord Ganesha also, there's a story about that. So like, see, to compose and write the verses, so he has to think, and then he has to put it. How difficult! So he said, it's a little too much for me to do both the work. This multitasking doesn't work for me. So uh, so he went to, so Brahma said, why don't you do one thing? You call Ganesha, he will become your scribe. He'll write it for you. And he says, okay, fine. So then he approaches Ganesha and says, you know what, Brahmaji has told, can't say no also, no. So Brahmaji has told, why don't you help me in writing? So Ganesha thought, and he said, okay, fine, I will write, but I have a condition. I will write continuously. Okay. The moment you stop dictating, and if I stop writing, then I'm not going to continue. There shouldn't be any break. As you keep telling, I'll be writing, but I don't want you to take breaks and all in between. So Vedavyasa was in a fix, because Ganesha is a lord. He doesn't need to eat, drink. Vedavyasa is not like that. So he at least needs to, go for the nature calls, right? So he thought, and then he said, okay, fine, I'll accept your condition. But I have another condition. Okay, a condition on a condition. So he says that you write, and I will tell you. But you first have to understand it before you write. can't just write something and then say, I don't know, you're telling some Greek and Latin and just writing it. No. Whatever you have written, you should be able to understand it. Only then you, uh, that's my condition. So now what happens is, in between Vedavyasa, he tells certain strong words, okay, highly philosophical. Ganesha has to analyze it, think, understand it, and then only he can write. So that time, Vedavyasa was able to take his breaks. Okay, so both the conditions were also met, and the text was written. So that's what in because why it is like only when we are in the deep reflection state, deep meditative state, only then masterpieces can be written. So that's why we say that whatever work that we are doing, also do it with full focus, with full awareness, then everything will be fine. Right? But we do little here, then we do little there. We want to read, we want to write, we want to listen to something else, we want to listen to a song, we want to know what's happening in the other building. So if we keep doing that, then we are not going to get any masterpiece, forget even a piece. Okay? So right now, let's stop at this and we will take it in the next class. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.